Everybody.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Danielle. I'm an account executive here at 50 Skills. So thank you so much for joining us today. Gustav, hand it over to
Good-
you.
Yes. Hello. My name is Gustav Rydeman. I'm representing the Swedish office here today from my parents' summer house. A good start on vacation, starting off with with this one. But I'm happy to share this time with you, and we will have 30 minutes now of our Build Before Brunch session going on.
Yeah, awesome. Our kind of day to day here at 50 Skills is essentially talking to HR teams about where things might be breaking down in their processes and what's fixable. And offboarding is something that comes up loads for us. It's one of those processes that really everybody knows is a bit of a mess, but really gets prioritized. So Gustav's going to be building out a workflow for us live today, and we're going to be asking him any questions that we want that come up. So feel free to drop those in the channel here. You should see the chat on the right hand side. But yeah, awesome.
Should we start to take a look at today's challenge then, the offboarding part?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, feel free to let us know what you struggle with at the minute when it comes to offboarding, what kind of usually gets forgotten, what causes the most delays. For us, we hear about this a lot, and the reality is that a really messy offboarding does create real problems. Things like maybe access that doesn't get revoked, equipment that goes missing, leavers who feel like an afterthought. So, what we're going to go into today for you all is the kind of workflow that takes all of that chaos and turns it really into something consistent and automatic. Um, yeah. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why offboarding matters. I spoke with a client just last week who has a high security store within central London, and the problem that they kind of face mainly is their security risk. I'm sure this is something that a lot of you face as well. And there's just so many steps needed to make sure that somebody leaves a business correctly, whether that's things like giving laptops back, giving key cards back, revoking access to different systems. It's something that you don't want to get wrong. And as you can see here, the security risk, we've got 76% of IT leaders that view offboarding as a significant security risk. So it really is quite substantial. And as well, lots of other things that can kind of go wrong. So you've got your process gaps here. We've got 71% of organizations don't have a formal offboarding process, which sounds really hard to believe, but we speak with people, I'm sure Gustav would say the same, week in, week out, who say the same thing. It's just, it gets forgotten about. People focus on onboarding, and then offboarding is almost really kind of pushed down that list and is just not prioritized. And then, of course, when you have people leave your business, you really want them to leave on a good note. And you want your employer reputation to be strong. Now, employees are 43% more likely to, if their exit is handled correctly, to strongly recommend their former employer. And I think that's something that everybody would want when people leave their business. So it just makes sense to make sure that you're doing this as thoroughly and correctly as possible.
Yes, I think this is a really interesting take on it too. Looking at the offboarding and securely handing over stuff from your former employee to the organization, but also from a knowledge transfer perspective to make sure that you collect information and other valuable info from a person leaving, but also exactly the third part here, having this as a employer branding part. These should be ambassadors of your from their experiences from the employment, exactly taking off into the new challenges, and being brand ambassadors is a great thing.
I
And
think it's
also highlighting here from a business case perspective is also important from an IT perspective. I see to build a business case from a security perspective on why offboarding matters.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we're talking there as well about employer reputation and people leaving, but I think actually something that gets forgotten about is also how much it affects the people who stay, and how you treat somebody on the way out and how that's kind of handled is watched closely by the team left behind. And anything kind of chaotic or perhaps cold or unmeaningful might send a message about how the company values people. So it's just super important to make sure you get that right. And the cost of getting it wrong is hidden, maybe, but it is significant. Rehiring is so expensive. So is a disruption, gaps in kind of coverage, or an IT incident caused by former employees maybe not being offboarded correctly. Most companies don't join those dots back to offboarding, but they should. And that's kind of what we're going to focus a bit on today.
Yes. So I'm just gonna start to share my screen here, and we are going to go into our building part. And as you got some information on forehand on your in your email, it is possible to create a free trial account on 50 Skills to build your own stuff and try it out. So you can go to 50skills.com and create a free trial if you haven't done that before. And this is free of charge. We don't take any, you don't have to register your card or anything. You can have the full platform with all the AI capabilities and such for 2 weeks and play around with and try it out. And then you can make a decision whether it is valuable or not for you. And today we are also going to base our build based on a prompt. We are going to use our AI navigator to build the workflow for us. So we have actually prepared here also a form where you can generate a good prompt based on your needs and requirements. So you can follow this link and you can then fill in the details here, as your contact details, and also then looking at the requirements and composition on how you would like to see your example offboarding here. And based on what you fill in here, you will get an email back with a full prompt, and it's quite an extensive prompt describing all the details about the process and how 50 Skills platform will build this out for you. So everyone can get a personalized prompt here based on your what you fill in. And then when you have that kind of prompt, then you see all the topics here that we will go through, like return of equipment and excess removals and the exit interview and so on. And this is, of course, something you can tailor. And why we do this is you will see a very extensive prompt, and the whole thing with putting something into our builder is to catch all the details from you. And you can also add up with your own details here and have more details into how you'd like your workflows and processes to be. So it's perfectly tailored to your needs, of course. But this is an example too, so you'll see.
Yeah, we've created this form with kind of these suggested questions just to make a really easy way for you to build out the prompt. But actually, a way that a lot of our clients do build out the prompts as well is just by having a conversation with their teammates, their teams, recording it, and then using a transcriber to kind of build that prompt as well. So there's a lot of different ways in which you can do this, which Gustav will now show you.
Yep. So what I will do now is to just go into the 50 Skills platform, and I will just create a new journey. I will call this offboarding and Build Before Brunch. And I create a new journey. So this is now clean sheet. We have nothing in here. And what we'll see here is that we will, of course, then use our AI navigator to fill in this prompt. So based on the output here, I now have a prompt like this. And it's quite an extensive one, you see. It's go through the purpose of the workflow, the triggers of the workflow, the resignation details, what kind of information you need to capture, what AI review steps there are in here, the different statuses within the process, what automated actions there will be in here, and manager actions, and knowledge transfer steps, what will be managed from that perspective. Also the equipment and access removal and exit interview and so on. So everything is actually now described in this prompt, and I will just press here now saying that, hey, please review this input, and then the AI navigator will interpret how this will be built using the components available in our workflow engine. So what we'll see here is actually, it's kind of like a lovable thing for people operations, that you get some clarifying questions. The AI navigator understand and see how you're thinking this, and then you can clarify your input based on this. This will actually take a couple of minutes to go through it, because it's quite an extensive prompt here we're giving.
Well, if anyone has any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat as well. But I mean, Gustav, just to kind of think about things that people might be thinking about when they come to building out their own prompts. I mean, what are the kind of things that you see clients talk about? Like, what does a good offboarding workflow kind of actually do for the employee experience? Not just the HR team, but when people are thinking about the things they need to include here in the prompt, what are kind of things that are important to the people that you speak to?
Yeah, well, we have the basic stuff that we saw, collecting, informing people about this person is leaving, of course. Then looking at, okay, what supporting departments are in here. Sorry, I will just, now it has actually...
Oh, there we go.
done this one. I didn't get any clarifying questions this time. But
já, en í rauninni sko gætur alveg bara að engineera þetta í
and we are in here now, and we can just see that these are the key steps, and I just take the build perspective here. So I will kick off the build here. And what we will see here is that this will now start to build up the workflow based on this thing here. So it will create a new external form here. It will do this AI resignation review step. It will also do some of the findings in here that the AI has set up based on information gaps or whatever. So we'll see how this turns out. Sorry, Daniel, something regarding what perspectives that were in here. Of course, setting up a more personalized experience also for, for example, if it's depending on the reason to why someone leaves, or the history of that person in a company. If someone has been working for 15-20 years for a company, that might take some other ways on how you celebrate this, for example.
Yeah, absolutely.
How you take this from a personal perspective, but
like organizing a party.
Kind of personalization parts is also you need to be kind of asking this person how they would actually would like to be noticed, because that is also a personal thing. Not everyone do want to have a big party and walking down memory lane and so on. They need they are somewhere else and need to, or if they are going into some other role or whatever, or leaving for other purposes, that they might have their head somewhere else and so on. So it is a very personal experience, and this is something that you of course then also can manage in the workflow, how you collect this kind of information to build a truly personalized exit experience.
I think
but then of course securing all this basic stuff, that you have the exit interview, that you collect knowledge and all the gadgets and stuff like that. And
of course. I was actually just going to say that about the exit interviews. I mean, in my experience as well, leaving companies previously, exit interviews are something that kind of get forgotten about, maybe because somebody's already on their way out. Maybe there's not time to really fit it in their last few weeks, whatever it might be. But that's something that you kind of don't want to forget about either. So you want to make sure that person feels really recognized and has their chance to kind of voice anything that they might want to share before they leave the company.
Yeah.
I can see things have started to kind of appear here now.
Yeah, so actually an external form here, it has been built. So it's about who is actually resignating here. the name of the employee and whatever. And of course, if you have a single sign-on solution and so on, this can be triggered, and data can be fetched here and so on. And then you fill in information about the dates here, the dates when the resignation was received, and length of service, and other things that might impact the workflow in later stages. And then you fill in some information based on this. This is, of course, what the system have built, and you can put in, for example, when it comes to additional information, you can pre-fill, okay, what teams should be noticed and so on by default. It doesn't need to be collected in a form like this, but it is here. And then we actually see here in the flow that it builds out all these branches. So it's manager tasks in here, it's IT and access removal, it's payroll tasks, facilities tasks, knowledge transfer and handover tasks that will be put in here, exit interview and feedback. And then we have some conditional based on the input gathered here, like the person's manager, what they need to do, client relationships, is this has been a salesperson or engaged in customer engagement, for example, what kind of, or a project manager, what are the critical things to gather here from that perspective. So we have these different branches here where we will see now this also add up with new tasks and to-dos in here.
It would be good to know as well, Gustav. I mean, we're kind of talking here about all the things that we can cover, and we're showing everything that we're building out here. But what are the things that clients that you speak to maybe hesitate about automating during offboarding? Is there anything where clients kind of push back, and what's behind that kind of hesitation?
No, but I think one thing we have here in the workflow as an example, okay, hey, because offboarding, it is a lot of manual steps in here, and you have these like the exit interviews or the first notified. There's a lot of information being gathered in here, and some follow checklists and some follow other things, and they just know. But you can actually, based on the information that you gather, you should see possibilities to, for example, use an AI agent to review or prepare information. Like here, this AI agent, based on the inputs it gets, it says that it has actually now been defined as your role is to review employee resignation submissions and provide structure analysis to help HR manage the offboarding process effectively. And these could be, flag genuine gaps. For example, that we don't have information about this and that. Yeah. Or, for example, here, consider the implications of short notice periods, critical responsibilities. For example, if you are responsible for a key customer or whatever, it will automatically flag these things and add up with tasks later on in the workflow. So this is how you can actually, make the timeline analysis, or make the, how extensive this offboarding should be based on the person being offboarded here. So this is one example on how you can actually use AI agents to enhance the process and make it more secure or more efficient or more built out based on the specifics here.
We do have a couple of questions that have popped up as well. This kind of leads on a little bit from what we just spoke about there. So from Tatiana, she's asked, what about processes for delicate offboarding? So things like bad terms, maybe somebody was laid off, etc., etc. How are ways that we can help manage that?
Yeah, exactly. And this is, of course, something that you, from a process engineering or architectural perspective, you might want to look into this, like what are the reasons for termination. If you have this, I think we put in the purpose of this process build here, that this is a voluntary termination. Someone is resigning for a purpose. And then, but you of course also have these involuntary terminations, and though you might not want to, that might be a process of its own. But of course, from a workflow management perspective, all can be gathered into the same workflow using the platform here.
I think as well,
you always need to look into the reasoning here when you build a process architecture. What is a good thing to handle here and there. But
absolutely.
there are ways in our platform, for example, to connect multiple journeys. So you might have one journey saying that, okay, this person is leaving, and based on the reasoning behind this, you trigger a voluntary termination workflow or a involuntary termination workflow, stuff like that. So you can build a whole process architecture also in the system here.
It's also worth noting as well, for things like layoffs or maybe bad terms, it's even more important almost to make sure that you have the process automated, as you do not want to forget any steps. You want to make sure all communication is recorded. You want to make sure everything that you need to do is done correctly. So there's even more of a need almost to ensure that you're having everything automated, so you make sure you don't miss any of those vital things.
Exactly. So this is actually what this initial risk assessment is doing. So based on the data provided describing this offboarding situation, it's actually put like a risk analysis on it. So if there is some missing information or some immediate actions required, it highlights this in an early stage that this is more important that you come through with. So it's actually here in the beginning of the workflow. What's happening here then? So based on this one, is still working actually. It's a big one. But you have this trigger, you have the external form, you have this resignation review AI highlighting risks within the workflow. And then it also is a form for HR to review this risk summary. Sometimes it's no risk, sometimes it's probably a higher risk in here. And then it actually, based on the data fetch, trigger these different streams in here. So what we can see here is, for example, the manager tasks, saying there's an email being sent to the traveler, the one who is resignating, the manager name of the manager of the resignated person. Do you get this as a checklist or whatever in a mail, and also with a link to a form saying that these are the things that you need to acknowledge. For example, that I formally acknowledge this employee's resignation and confirmed last working day, and how I plan the handover for this person. So based on the information here, you get like this responsibility clarified for the manager, how to prepare for this resignation in a good way. And also in here it fetches whether this person needs some kind of a backfill on this current role or not. So this is information that can be passed on to HR. It is also having this IT and access removal in here. So IT will be notified saying that there's an upcoming offboarding with the details of the person and the last working days and what needs to be removed and so on. And we know that some of these things can be automated, when it comes to accesses. Some accesses is always, manual and managed manually and cannot be automated to a full extent. So this is, of course, depending on the organization, how you do this. But it's an email here, and also a form to IT saying that now we have, for example, confirmed that we have got these assets returned, for example. But you could also add in here integrations. So if you fetch information here and you would like to add up with a integration to Jira or whatever system you're using, Slack or Jira, to set up a integration triggering a task in some other system, it's possible to do these things too. Looking at the workflow now, it's actually ready. So it took always about 12-13 minutes to build the whole workflow. So it's a quite extensive one, but here's a summary of what has been built. So it's this AI agent thing, all the acknowledgements and information being sent out, the parallel work streams. And then we have some other things in here. And of course, looking at this, we were talking about this knowledge transfer, for example, the form here for handover document, like what are the active projects you're working on, ongoing commitments, critical upcoming deadlines, and so on. This is quite good information actually to collect and get into, and the person leaving here should put in details in here and submit it. And what is actually being done based on this information is an AI agent doing a review based on this. What is the completed handover document now, and flag gaps or missing information or other information that is critical to take care of.
We've actually had a question pop up there, Gustav, talking about kind of collecting critical information, talking about GDPR and are we compliant, which yes, we are. And we can share that information as well. But yes, we are completely GDPR compliant.
Yes.
Touch on that.
And this could also, be instruction in the form, say like, do not put any, personal contact details here or whatever. Or you can also have that as a thing in the AI agent, like remove all or anonymize this, or do not, use any personal information in your analysis or whatever. So it can be handled in multiple ways if you get sensitive data in here.
Exactly.
So this is actually quite an extensive summary for someone, and you get the form here from the manager and so on. What I would like to see in here is actually, this is now the first version we have here, and you could publish this one, and this is now a published workflow that can be triggered. But you could also make another iteration on this. So, for example, if I see, okay, we need activity to prepare for a celebration, or what do you say, an exit,
a party
for the person, and we would like to collect some kudos or pictures or other comments from the former colleagues. Please set up something to manage this. We can fetch this as a new enhancement to the process. And based on this, it will actually add up with this information to the workflow. So this is how you can iterate and add up and make things, even more personalized or whatever over time.
Yeah, it's important to know once you've kind of published a workflow, you can go in and customize it and amend and adapt at any time. As obviously you can see Gustav showing here.
Yeah. And of course, everything that is being built here by the navigator, like these emails or whatever, this is just, text and content that has been gathered from the AI. So you can go in here and, update texts or add or whatever, change details in here yourself. So it just gives you a first version of what you have. But everything here is possible to do. Something like that. I think we're end of time now. I did maybe a little too much talking there.
No, I think with offboarding, it's such an extensive process. There are so many different things that go into it. So it's kind of really important to make sure that we could highlight to everybody exactly what you can put into this, which you've definitely done there.
Yeah.
But yeah, feel free to, if you want to see a little bit more, you want to go into a little bit more detail with us, do feel free to book a demo. We'll also be sending across a coffee voucher to anybody that does. So everybody will get an email afterwards as well with a little bit more information on how to do that. So please do if you want to see a little bit more. We also do have another Build Before Brunch, which I believe is on July the 10th, our next session. And in that session, we'll be talking a bit more about well-being and benefits and how you can build out an automated workflow around that. So yeah, make sure to join that one as well.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah, we'll see what pops out here. When you get into this kind of builds, you always
yeah.
It's interesting to see what comes out of the
Absolutely.
machine.
And I think as well, everybody handles offboarding so differently. So it's so nice to see like different ways that we can amend and adapt as we go. Every business has a completely different way of doing it. We do actually have a question as well here, Gustav, from Tamara, who's asking, will the workflow require one person, an administrator, to own the process, or can you have kind of multiple people owning the process here?
Very good question. Yeah, the governance and responsibility of designing and maintaining the process is a key question. And from a tooling perspective, yeah, it's possible to have multiple persons being responsible for updating and maintaining it. But it is more from your organization, how you see on ownership or responsibilities and so on.
Yeah,
but for example, when it comes to translations and stuff like that, you might want to have someone who is owning the global process, but then you have local versions of each process and so on. So it might be more local ownership on some things, but you can actually decide like this part of the process should be owned by these people, and this part of the process should be owned. So it meet up with whatever needs you do have from a governance perspective in here.
Of course. Maybe leading on a little bit from that as well, that we do also have kind of a portal access. So even though that isn't maybe the whole team wouldn't be able to access and kind of own the process, that is a way for your entire staff to have ways to access the workflows and the forms really easily. So there's that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so here it actually sends out now to the manager saying that here we are collecting farewell messages, kudos, and photos from colleagues to celebrate for this person. And you can email the colleagues this form link, and everyone can then provide their input in this form link. Farewell message, upload images or whatever, any comments, memories, and so on, and then you will get a compiled list here back to the manager saying that this is everything that has been filled in. It was kind of nicely done. So and by then, a meaningful send-off.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
maybe a good segue into this meeting's send-off.
Absolutely. We do have one last question, Gustav, which is from
Yeah.
Tamara, and she's kind of saying a very common way is for managers to own the offboarding process, but then will they need training on the platform? Is that something that we kind of offer? How do we help clients get up and running and make sure that they feel really confident with kind of building out their own workflows?
Yeah, of course. That is something that we do. We provide this kind of success architect or expert support services. And this is, of course, a key thing for us. We are providing a platform where you can build whatever workflows you want in your organization. So making sure that we have, good ambassadors and people that knows about the product and the possibilities, and if you get stuck and so on, that you have a good support from 50 Skills. That is key for us. So of course we provide this kind of services on demand.
Absolutely.
And there's also a lot of materials we are sharing in our communities. We have a lot of customers that have built onboarding and offboarding and have shared their experiences, of course, also actually share their actual workflows.
Yeah, we have a full library of templates available on the platform, so you can just jump in at any point and kind of pull out anything that you think is helpful and kind of use those, as well as the AI navigator that we've showed you today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yes, so just reach out if you
absolutely
want some.
I think everyone will receive an email as well with the more information on the next session on the 10th of July and a form to kind of book a demo with us if you want. But yeah, thank you so much for that, Gustav, for kind of talking us all through that. And thank you everybody for joining and for all of the questions. Yeah, it was a great session.
Thank you all. And
amazing.
have a lovely summer.
Thanks, everybody.